There's going to be two paladins, as far as I know. Me and Matthew's going to play as a paladin. I think.
Okay, so you'll have two people likely capable of lay on hands, and I'll come off something. What's up, dude and dudettes? How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's midweek already. Time flies when you're having 3-day weekends.
Hey, what's wrong with you? You're not yelling.
What up, South Carolina? How we doing? Great to be with you, my friends. I am Rob Brown. That other smooth and seductive voice you heard just seconds ago, that of the great one, the professor of perfection, the wizard of wave. He is the alpha and the omega of the fan upstate, the conductor of the symphony of sound that is the Rob Brown Show. Lonzo is in charge of the broadcast. What up, Zoe?
Hey, how you fellers doing?
Just living the dream, partner. Just living the dream. I want to jump right into it today. I know, ordinarily, this would be the segment where we kind of goof off and have a little fun and whatever.
Not us. We're serious. Sports.
Yes.
Sports.
Stick to sports, losers. I want to jump right into it today because I found an article, a column, if you will, that was written earlier today. It was on the CBS Sports website. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. It was written by Dennis Dodd, and it was posted late yesterday evening, like 11 o'clock last night. This article went up, and I see why Dennis decided, sometimes with an article of this magnitude, and no, I'm not even being facetious. This is big, and I'm going to tell you what it is here in a mere moment. With an article of this magnitude, you'll see what a lot of people will do is with the ability to schedule things on the internet. You'll see a lot of people write this story one night, but they'll schedule it to go live at 7:30 the next day. It'll go live at 7:30 the next day so that they can break it in front of, people getting ready for work and whatnot, pick up traffic early. Double D posted this last night about 11 o'clock. And there's a reason for it. It's because it is a big story. It is a big story. Headline, Lonzo, quote, ACC Pac-12 discuss loose partnership that could include championship game in Las Vegas. Byline. Both conferences, along with the Big 12, are aiming to fortify their membership and increase their media rights revenue. Yes, that is correct, and that is exactly what they're doing. The ACC and Pac-12, according to Dodd, have discussed what has been termed a loose partnership that could end the season with the conferences playing a championship game in Vegas, sources confirm to CBS Sports. The concept is believed to have been pitched to the Pac-12 by the ACC, and it is seen as a way for the conference's common rights holder, that would be ESPN, to increase the value of their current media rights contract. Now, Dodd immediately writes that he doesn't necessarily think that this has the power that these two conferences might think that it does. Says, quote, it's not likely this proposal would have much impact considering ESPN has cost certainty with the ACC and a contract that lasts through 2036. The Pac-12 is trying to survive after the loss of USC and UCLA to the Big Ten in 2024. Rights for Pac-12 teams without the California Powers are now worth about $30 million annually, down from approximately $42 million per program with the Trojans and Bruins in the fold, end quote. So, Dodd basically says, yeah, you get what they're going for here, but there's not a lot to project optimism. And I think that's probably accurate, right? It's probably accurate. Here's the thing, and I told you this yesterday. post UCLA and USC moving out of the Pac-12 and into the Big Ten. Those are the flagship institutions. Those are the fortresses. They've got LA locked down. And not only do they have LA, either number one or number two media market in the world, depending on what metric you look at, not only do they have LA locked down in terms of television revenue, but on top of TV revenue, Southern California is considered one of the most fertile recruiting grounds in all of America. And now that fertile recruiting ground is going to bring even more of the top-tier athletes in this country into the Big Ten. So the Pac-12 not only loses the number one or number two media market, but they're about to lose a significant amount of the talent coming out of South Cal to the Big Ten as well, both to SC, UCLA, and now the Ohio State University and Michigan and Nebraska. All of these teams now have built inroads into the 4- and 5-star guys coming out of sunny Southern California. So they're going to get spread out more. That is a death sentence to the Pac-12. So the Pac-12, in looking to try to fix that, and looking to try to bail the water out of the boat while they try to figure out how to plug the hole, called the ACC and said, hey, what do you say we do something? Or had the ACC call them and say, what do you say we do something? What do you say we try to figure something out here? What do you say we come up with a justified reason that we get our champs together at the end of the year and put on a show, put on some fireworks? Here's the problem. The problem with that, in my opinion, is that LA and SoCal are hyped because of the TV market, sure. And the legacy program, sure. But I want you to think, what compels you to watch a game? What compels you to watch a game? It's one of three things. There are three reasons that would compel a college football fan to watch a game. Number one is it's your team, right? Your team's playing, you're compelled to watch it. Number two is there are high stakes on the game, right? There are high stakes on the game. It's a playoff game. It's a championship game. It's a rivalry game. There's a record that's threatened to be broken. There is a streak that's alive. There is something that makes this particular game more high stakes than any other game. Or, number three, it's just a really, really good football game, right? It's a really good football game. You got two top 10 teams playing each other, two top 5 teams playing each other. And even still, ordinarily, when you got two great teams playing each other, there are stakes on that game too. So in my opinion, there are three things that will get you to watch a football game. A, your team is in it. B, it's got incredibly high stakes attached. Or C, it's just a really good game. Well, if the ACC and the Pac-12 don't have their champions in the college football playoff, and they decide to add one more game to the postseason, if your team's playing in that game, right? If you're Clemson and you don't make the playoff, but you've won the ACC, you're going to watch it. If you are Oregon and you win the Pac-12, but you don't make the playoff, Ducks fans are going to watch it. But what draw in a college football world where the only thing that matters is the college football playoffs, right? In a college football landscape where the only thing that matters is making the college football playoff, an ACC champ not in the playoff, and a Pac-12 champ not in the playoff, or The ACC champ did make the playoff, so the second place ACC team, the loser of the ACC championship game, if there still is one, or the Pac-12 champ makes the playoff, and the loser of the Pac-12 championship game makes it to this, whatever they're going to call it, bowl. What compels people to watch that? What brings eyeballs to that TV? Because if it doesn't, then it doesn't matter. It's not adding any market share. Therefore, ESPN is not going to go, yeah, all of a sudden the ACC and the Pac-12 have added value. And the only thing that can keep the ACC and Pac-12 alive from this point moving forward is by creating more revenue. This doesn't do it.
Yeah, see, but that's going on the premise that people will actually watch this game. How many people watched the ACC championship last year? Did Clemson fans watch it when Clemson wasn't in it?
No.
Right. Who watched it? What did it mean? Yeah, you crowned an ACC champion, but what did it mean?
Oh, I agree.
Because there were no stakes. I mean, if there was a team vying to go to the playoff,
yeah,
then you're watching.
Absolutely.
But if not, and so under what they're trying to do, this game means nothing except for the two conferences, and only the teams, fan bases that are playing are going to be watching. And what advantage is this for Clemson? Because even with Pac-12 at their strongest, what advantage is it for Clemson?
Look,
they're trying to make that third super conference. This is really what it comes down to. And this would be the lesser of the three.
Let's be abundantly clear. The ACC and the Pac-12 with this partnership are trying to increase media revenue. They are trying to create more money to give to the schools because both conferences have schools that are justifiable targets for acquisition via the Power 2, the SEC and the Big Ten. Clemson is absolutely one of them. As a matter of fact, I believe that Clemson today is the second most important school
after Notre Dame, probably.
After Notre Dame,
yeah,
as the key for what happens next in college football expansion. Notre Dame is number one, the most valuable asset out there that is not committed to one of the Power 2 is Notre Dame.
But I would say Clemson is more important in the aspect of if Clemson leaves, the ACC is going to fold.
If Notre Dame goes anywhere but the ACC, I think the only thing that keeps the Pac-12 is doomed, in my opinion.
They are, for sure.
The Pac-12 is doomed. The Big 12
being on the West Coast hurts it a lot.
Hurts you a lot
because of viewership.
And that's not college football territory out there, right? Like you got fans, you got a cluster of fans about the Oregon Ducks. You got a cluster of fans about the LA teams. But college football is third on the list, fourth on the list of favorite sports on the West Coast, right? So every challenge that the ACC faces right now, the Pac-12 faces that, but worse, because they don't have the support of teams like Clemson and Florida State and Miami and Duke and North Carolina. It's not a football world out there. And at the end of the day, football is the determining factor in everything that's happening right now, right? So increasing the Pac-12 is doomed for two reasons. Number one, you've just lost the LA market, right? You've just lost the LA market. The second thing that dooms the Pac-12 is that there are other schools, Oregon primarily, Stanford, second place, and a couple of others that are absolutely still potential targets for acquisition by the Power 2. Now, I said yesterday on the show, and I kind of laughed because I said it yesterday on the show, and I got in this morning, and I'm scrolling through my prep stuff, and I see Feinbaum come up with the very unique idea that there's going to be a third conference, and it's going to be all the cast-offs trying to compete. And I think the long-term evolution of the sport is that the third conference effectively becomes a different division of college football, different level of college football. We're going to have the Big Two, the Big Ten and the SEC, or whatever they ultimately end up becoming. And then all the cast-offs are going to form a second level. And maybe not, we'll have the second level champ play the first level champ. Probably not. But there's going to be a third conference. Whether or not it becomes a different body of college football is yet to be determined. My theory is that, yeah, it will. Down the line, the cast-off conference will become its own level of college football, separate from the big dogs. I got no doubt about that. And frankly, I don't even really have a big problem with that, and I'll tell you why coming up later. Okay? But the teams that are still left to be picked off by the Big Ten and the ACC out in the Pac-12 will eventually move. And while in the Pac-12, in the Big 12, they are trying to remain afloat. They are trying to remain viable. I think the Big 12 is probably not long for this world either, right? The only conference that I think might remain viable as a third conference would be the Atlantic Coast Conference. But two things need to happen. Number one is not an option. Number one is the ACC has to talk Notre Dame into becoming a full member, right? They have to talk the Irish into becoming a full-fledged member and bringing their NBC television money into the fold. They must do that. If Notre Dame joins the Big Ten or the SEC, the Atlantic Coast Conference is doomed. The second thing that they are going to have to do is they're going to have to convince Clemson, FSU, Miami, North Carolina, and Virginia that with Notre Dame's money in the mix, that it is viable for them to stay, make nearly the same amount of money as the Southeastern Conference, and in doing so, keep a third conference and the chances at a national championship within it alive. Step one, get the Irish. Step two, don't lose the Tigers, the Noles, the Canes, the Heels, or the Cavs. You have to do all of those things. Any one of those steps goes sideways. The ACC is as doomed as the Pac-12 is at this point. You don't have to like it. It just is what it is. All right, let's take a break. Because when we come back, there is one more thing that has to be done by the ACC. And I think that it has the biggest impact of all on Clemson. It is going to be the SEC, the ACC's biggest argument to keep Clemson in the fold. Because if the ACC, A, loses Notre Dame, or B, loses Clemson, they are toast. And this is going to be the ACC's biggest argument to keep the Tigers. I'll tell you what it is when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. The great Lonzo's at the helm, and you're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to The Fan Upstate. So, Adam, and this is where the story gets interesting. It is not about being relevant on the football field. It is about being relevant in terms of what you bring to the table financially. And shockingly enough, Virginia is actually very relevant in that market. Same as North Carolina. I did not know this. North Carolina, Alonzo, is the 10th most populated state in the United States. I didn't know that. 10th most populated state. So that is what's going to make Duke and North Carolina interesting. Virginia is not far behind. And you got to think, with Virginia, you also get Washington, D.C. included in that market, as it's right there in that mix. So Virginia brings a couple of things to the table. Number one, they bring the state of Virginia into the fold, which as of right now is not owned by the Big Ten or the SEC. This is as much about creating the largest possible television footprint as you can. Number two, they bring the DC market into play. Number three, they have some accreditations as a university that a lot of other schools don't have. And while it is not the most important variable on the discussion, a lot of conferences are trying to be as academically rigorous as they can as well. And for instance, I didn't know this. Of the teams in the Big Ten, all but one of them right now are members of the American Association of Universities, the AAU. There's only 65 AAU accredited schools. To be AAU accredited means you are one of the most influential research academies in North America. There are 63 AAU colleges and universities, 63 in America, 2 of them in Canada. The Big Ten, all of their members except Nebraska are AAU. If they add in North Carolina, that's another AAU. And if they have Virginia, that's another AAU. That is something the Big Ten is very proud of. So you add that on top of gaining a massive television market. That's what the Cavs bring to the table. It's not about can you show up and compete for a conference championship. That is, contrary to what fans are going to instinctively believe, irrelevant to the discussion. It helps, but it's irrelevant to the discussion.
You see what I sent you on Twitter?
Yeah.
It was a very thorough explanation.
You know, I
didn't know that about the Big Ten. I knew about part of it, but I didn't realize that it was everybody except for Nebraska.
It's I mean, first off, Lonzo, my radio show is not this is how I feel. Here's all our feelings. It's here's what's happening. Now how do you feel about it?
Who would do a show completely on feelings? Yeah.
Wouldn't it make sense wouldn't it make sense geologically? For Notre Dame to be in the Big Ten Conference, I'd love for there to be about 8 conferences with geographical ties that would have 8 playoff spots. Yeah, again, it is not about that. It's not about what makes sense geographically, because no, geographically, it does not make sense that USC and UCLA are in the Big Ten. Or the Big 16, whatever we're calling it now. It doesn't make sense that they're in there. But it's not about making sense.
Will always be the Big Ten right here.
Sure. Come watch the live stream. Join us in the live stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, or go to YouTube, search The Rob Brown Show, like and subscribe to that channel. And you can go behind the scenes and you can watch Lonzo do the show live for 3 hours every day. And also, I'm here. Rocking, by the way, I don't know if you saw this, so the fresh threads today. The fresh threads. I I went down yesterday. I had to talk to Chris and Doug over with the Triumph because, and by the way, I got a big announcement about that coming up in the very next segment. But I had to go talk to Chris and Doug yesterday and picked up a new Greenville Liberty shirt. Jet black, the Liberty logo on the left breast patch with the Ville across the front. I got to tell you, the Liberty have cranked out some absolute looks for the Greenville upstate area. So the fresh threads, and you know I'm a guy, I love me some all black. Love some all black. The all black, the Ville kit is as good as it looks. As good as it comes.
Yeah, when it makes me think of a Kool Moe Dee song. So, I mean, the shirt is, he says the Ville in Wild Wild West. But the shirt is pretty sweet.
It's dope threads. Dope threads. Which, by the way, I have an announcement coming up about the Liberty in the next segment that is exclusive to the Rob Brown Show. So stick with me for that, you local netheads, because I got you. That's what I'm here for. Let me address some things we saw on the stream. And here's the fun part about the stream. If you join us on the stream, facebook.com/thefanupstate, or search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show on YouTube. If you do that, and you come behind the scenes, you can actually comment and hold conversations with us during the break off the air. And you will get answers that are exclusive to the stream. You will get discussions that are exclusive to the screen. But because Adam and Trey and Steven have all popped in and had thoughts about what we were talking about in the last segment on the stream, I want to answer them. We'll start with what Adam Kendrick popped in and said. He said, when were because I mentioned the teams from the ACC that are at threat of being rated if the ACC cannot increase its media revenue between now and it's not, listen, 2036 is when the current media rights contract for the ACC expires, which means that would be the earliest that those teams can scot-free join another conference. If the teams were to leave now or within the next year, the cost would be upwards of $100 million to get them out.
Unless the conference dissolves. Which would have been unthinkable, but with the way things are going, it's a possibility, right?
It is, but I don't think yet, and here's why. Because while those contracts don't expire until 2036, those contracts are also locked into place the other direction too. That is to say, ESPN is going to be paying mucho dinero into the ACC until 2036. Or whoever, the chief one, but whoever those rights are sold to through 2036, paying mucho dinero into the ACC. Now, in doing so, they pretty much got the ACC locked. Every year, those media rights contracts are going to get cheaper and cheaper. They're going to get cheaper and cheaper. There is a tipping point somewhere between now and 2036 that the SEC and the Big Ten will go, okay, Clemson's not worth $100 million to buy out of the ACC. They might be worth 50. It might be worth 40 mil. So maybe in 2030, 2031, we make the move. I do think the next evolution of college football expansion, for whatever it's worth, I think it's a delayed process, right? I think you'll see a couple of Pac-12 schools get sniped. I think you'll see a couple of Big 12 schools get sniped down the line. But I think the next, whoa, did that really just happen moves are a few years off, right? And I mentioned the ACC teams. I mentioned the factors that the ACC needs to prevent. Number one, they need to get Notre Dame in the fold. And number two, by getting Notre Dame in the fold and increasing the media revenue, they need to convince Clemson, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina / Duke, and Virginia from moving on. I mentioned Virginia, and Adam Kendricks popped into the stream, and he said, when were the Cavaliers ever relevant in the ACC? Here's what I answered to Adam off the air. Join the stream because you'll get unique takes like this one. College football fans, when they talk expansion, college football fans need to change the way that you look at college football. Because what happens is you look at college football through the lens of a fan. Why? Because you're a fan. That's the lens we look through. You got to stop looking at expansion through the lens of a fan. Because as I have told you many times, as much as it might hurt you to hear, the harsh reality of all of this is the schools do not give a good gosh darn about you. They don't. They don't give a boat about you or your opinions or your wants or your desires. The schools give a boat about making money. You don't have to like it. You do have to accept it. Virginia is not at threat to get sniped because they will come in and start threatening for SEC or Big Ten supremacy. They won't. They won't. The reason Virginia is on the table, hell, the reason North Carolina is on the table, is because what they bring in practice and theoretically to the table financially. I did not know this. I found this out yesterday, as a matter of fact. North Carolina is the 10th most populous state in the United States. 10th. 10th. If you get one of the North Carolina schools, and by schools I mean UNC or Duke. If you get one of the big schools, you grab a huge state. You grab 10th most populous state in the union that you'll be broadcast across, right? Virginia is top 20. But Virginia also gets to snag Washington, D.C. and swaths of, Maryland that's right north of them, right? It connects a Big Ten territory. It also expands the footprint of the SEC into Big Ten territory, right? Virginia is also Association of American Universities or American Association of Universities, AAU. I think it's American Association of Universities. There are 65 AAU accredited schools. You have to meet very, very rigorous qualifications and stay on top of them to be an AAU school. The Big Ten is all AAU schools with the exception of Nebraska. They are the only one that's not an AAU school. Remember, there are only 63 of them. The Big Ten is the SEC of college academics, right? The Big Ten has the most highly accredited schools in all of the conferences. To add an AAU to add an AAU qualified school into the mix of AAU qualified schools is big for the Big Ten, right? Because that's something they pride themselves on. So Virginia and North Carolina, I believe both AAU schools, would add to that level of pride for that conference, as well as, get you a bigger TV market. This is not about would Carolina come into the Big Ten and compete for a title. No, not in football. They would in basketball, but not in football. This is about what do they add financially to the table? And the answer is a lot. A lot. Clemson does not add a big swath of TV for the SEC. They do add one for the Big Ten. But Clemson also adds a huge chunk of money to the table. Because Clemson, being a dynasty right now, commands eyeballs. They play a lot of games that have high stakes. They are probably more attractive to the Big Ten than the SEC. But the SEC knows what Clemson can be worth, especially if Clemson could come in and compete for the Southeastern Conference, right? That's why I think Clemson and Florida State are both likely Big Ten bound when the Big Ten starts deciding to threaten the ACC's contracts. I think Miami is an SEC school, ultimately. It locks down Florida in its entirety for the SEC. And Miami adds money to the table. So, that's why the Cavs are involved. In fairness, Adam did come back and say, well, I'm a Hokie fan, so I hate the Cavs. I respect that. Trey said, wouldn't it make sense geographically for Notre Dame to be in the Big Ten? I'd love for there to be about 8 conferences with geographical ties that would have eight playoff spots. Oh, you mean like we've always had with the Power 5 plus 3 in the group of 5? That is done. We are, I predict, ultimately destined for 3 power conferences. You will have whatever the Southeastern Conference becomes. You will have whatever the Big Ten becomes. And then you'll have a conference for everybody that's left over. Here's my natural conclusion to that. The Big Ten and the SEC will have their mega conferences. They will each produce 4. Whether they do it via pods, whether they do it by strength of winning percentage within conference games, whatever they do, each team will produce 4. Those 4 teams will have a 4-team playoff. The SEC will produce a champ. The Big Ten will produce a champ. And those 2 teams will play for a national championship game. The other conference, which will include all the cast-offs, will also produce their own national champion. I don't have a problem with that being the long-term definition of college football, Zoe, and here's why. Do you think Maryland can ever win a championship in today's system?
No.
No, of course not. You think that, well, they're in the Big Ten. Let me use an example outside the Big Ten. You think Utah will ever win a national championship? Utah State?
I was going to say Utah has a better shot than Maryland does.
Because they're not in the Big Ten.
Right.
You think, I don't know, BYU? I don't know why I'm picking on teams from Utah right now. Do you think that Kansas State out of the Big 12 would ever win a national championship?
No.
No. The overwhelming majority of schools are never going to win a championship.
But there are some people who would have said the same thing about Clemson. So it is a possibility.
Sure.
Because they were mediocre forever.
Anything is a possibility. Sometimes sometimes you stumble into a Dabo, right? Sometimes you stumble into a Dabo and it takes you to the next level. But realistically, Kansas State is never winning a title. So, if we do go 2 power conferences, SEC and Big Ten, of which all of the blue bloods are included, right? All the big time programs are involved. And then you have a second division of college football where all the rest, the San Diego States, the Baylors are involved. And they get to name a national champion. Now, those teams actually do have a chance to win a national championship. Granted, it's at a lower level. Granted, it won't have as many eyeballs as the Power 2 will. But at least the option's on the table. And those schools will take that. Because we will still watch. Maybe not with the intensity that we'll watch the Big Ten SEC championship game. But we'll still watch. Because it's still college football. Even if it's not at the highest level. There's money to be made there, and that's why I think they go in that direction. All right, let's do this. If you got any thoughts on this, hit your boy up. 844-FAN-PHONE. 844-FANFONE. 844-326-3663. What is your reaction to what I just said? Love it, hate it, am I right, am I wrong? Can also text your thoughts on the Preferred Home Services text line. at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, and we will read them on the air. We'll come back here in just a minute. I do have an exclusive announcement about the Greenville Liberty. And if you are supportive of local sports in the upstate, this will apply to you. Tell you what it is when we come back. Rob Alonso, this is the Fan Upstate.
Why is that thing on top of the UPS truck spinning? It's weird. Is that for ventilation, I guess?
I would guess so. That's hot air coming out of the back, maybe.
Not that I
It's a satellite dish. They're listening to us.
Not that I look at all of them, but that's the first time I think I've ever seen that. Thought they just left the door open. What do they need that for? Maybe it's actually a surveillance van pretending to
That's what I'm
be, yeah.
If I was the FBI, that's exactly how I'd hide it. Everybody gets excited to see the UPS truck.
It's a very clean truck, though, so I don't know.
Well, the government can't be clean.
Makes it look less worn and more suspicious.
Fair enough.
UPS trucks, they do work every day. Trying to see if the rotation has slowed down any, and it hasn't, so it's definitely something automatic. I can answer for him, Steven, and say no.
I haven't. I have not. You are correct. You guys got to understand, I am 2.5 seasons behind in Stranger Things.
This, by the way, in my opinion, better than season 1.
I really enjoyed season 1, and then I don't know why. It just lost me for some reason. That's not to say it was ever bad. I don't know why it just lost me at some point.
Well, you can just wait till season 5. That's it, and then it's over. And
I was gonna say they said next season's last, right?
yeah. Although probably technically, if COVID hadn't happened, season 5 would have already happened, and it would already be over.
I was gonna say, didn't 4 get pushed back like a long time
Yes.
because of
It did,
the Rona?
to the point where kids are no longer kids; they're now adults.
Yeah.
So
Did they have to write that into the show?
no, they're in high school. How many times have we seen like 30-year-olds playing high school
fair,
guys?
fair,
So,
fair.
I mean, the majority of them are 18 to 20, so they can pull it off.
Okay.
But this season's based in 1986 when I graduated from high school. So,
I was a year old at that point. In the fields, the body's burning while the war machine keeps turning.
Okay. War Pigs just jumped into your head.
No, I heard it on the way in this morning.
Oh, okay.
And that riff's in my head. Bwah, 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 bwah. Bwah, bwah, bwah. Ba-la-la-la-la-la. Down, down. Do, do, do.
I think the first time ever I actually knew what the lyrics were was either Rock Band or Guitar Hero.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was like, okay.
it's a great song. So yesterday, got off the air, finished some work, ran over to the Triumph store downtown. For those of y'all that have not followed me and don't know, I was asked to, and with great pleasure did, serve as the voice of the Greenville Liberty this year. Was able to be on the call for their home matches, and it was a tremendous honor to which I am incredibly grateful and appreciative to Doug Irwin for asking me, and Chris and Doug and Joe and all these guys for allowing me to do that. Anyway, yesterday went in to talk to them because we announced earlier in the week, in their inaugural season, ladies and gentlemen, the Greenville Liberty have made the USLW League playoffs. And this is an interesting league in that there's like 49 teams in this league. Top 8 make the playoff. Top 4 host the first round of the playoffs. Hey, Lonzo, guess what we're doing next Wednesday?
Hosting
the first round of the inaugural USLW League playoffs. 49 teams. The Greenville Liberty will be one of the top 4 and hosting a game next Wednesday. Expected kickoff is around 7 p.m. That info will be shored up today. Those guys we just mentioned, the administration, the front office for the Liberty / Triumph, will be on the phone with the USLW League today, and we'll get our opponent, and we'll get our kickoff time for next Wednesday. Here's what I can tell you. 2 o'clock today, tickets for that match will go on sale. If you want them, you need to go to the Greenville Liberty website, and you can get them there. I would love if we could pack that stadium out. I really would. We packed that stadium out when Charlotte FC came to town. We packed that stadium out. It was one of the most incredible experiences I have had with local sports in this area. I would love to do the same for these young ladies who have represented Greenville so exceptionally well. They have been straight up ballers this year. There are players on this team that are in college playing at SEC powerhouses like Auburn and Georgia. There is one player on this team, Megan Bornkamp, who's been an absolute stud for the Liberty. All she did, Lonzo, was get called up to the U.S. Women's National U20 team, serve as the captain of that team, go on a tear around Europe, and make her name as a potential future star on the U.S. Women's National team. She'll be playing in this match, right? This team is loaded. This team is damn good. They will be playing at home next Wednesday. We do not yet have an opponent. Scratch that. We have an opponent. We just don't know who the opponent is yet. Kickoff is likely to be around 7 p.m. next Wednesday. Here's what I'm going to tell you. you need to be there. Because we continue, and this is not just about soccer in the Upstate. I mean, if you are a soccer fan of the Upstate and you want to grow the game, these are the matches you come to. Like, of course, you're going to come to watch the Triumph play Charlotte FC. Of course you are. MLS team coming to our house. That's incredible. That's exciting. And it was incredible. It was a great time. But it is not just about that. It is about supporting events like this one. It is about putting us on the map. It is about showing the rest of the country that these teams and this area show support of local sports in ways that others don't. So, no one else knows this yet. The Liberty haven't even announced this yet. But I'm going to. Today, 2 p.m., you can go to the Liberty website at greenvilleliberty.com, greenvilleliberty.com. You can buy your tickets to next Wednesday's playoff match. Faster you get in, better seats you're going to get. And it should be an absolute doozy. We have been really good at home. Like outscoring opponents 25-4 at home. Fireworks expected, ladies and gentlemen. So, today, 2 p.m., greenvilleliberty.com, you can log in and buy your playoff tickets, pick your seats, call your shots, and be in the stadium as the Liberty try to add to the hardware that the Greenville Triumph have over the past 3 years brought back to the Upstate. The Liberty will get their opportunity to do the same, and the road to a championship starts next Wednesday. Get your tickets today, 2 p.m., greenvilleliberty.com. Texter says, is the Liberty game a good environment for children of all ages? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. It is, especially Liberty games, has been one of the most welcoming sports environments. It's good for kids. If you're a non-soccer fan, it's great. It's a tremendous opportunity to learn the game. People there are willing to chat with you. It is a phenomenal family experience. I tell you that honestly. Get your tickets 2 p.m. today, greenvilleliberty.com. This is not a paid promotion. This is me, Rob Brown, local sports dude who wants this area to continue to be a sports mecca. But in order for it to be that, we got to show up and show out at events like this one. So, I will see you at Legacy Early College next Wednesday, 7 p.m., as the Liberty in their inaugural season open up as one of the best 4 teams in the league and make a push to a title. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate. In high school, I traded a Black Sabbath cassette tape and traded it for a Conway Twitty tape. Ladies and gentlemen, Conway Twitty.
The most disturbing thing I've seen all day.
Hello, darling. Good to see you. It's been a long time.
Come on, you can't do it without twang, and you ain't got none.
It's
So.
been a long time. Conway Twitty didn't have a ton of twang in his voice.
Oh, he had more than what you just did.
Hello, darling. Good to see you. See, I can't do like traditional twangs, though. It just comes out like new age country voice. You know what I mean?
Whereas for me, it's just acting like my family. That's the reason why I can do it so well. Because remember, my mom and her...
Kentucky!
Exactly. My mom and her 12 siblings.
12?
Yes, yes.
God, I got one, and that's too many.
Be careful. You don't know who's watching.
Yeah, I do. That's why I said it.
Okay, that's kind of mean.
R-A-D-I-O, R-A-D-I-O, R-A-D-I-O.
I can actually count today. Since I made that mistake twice yesterday. I made it again at the end of the show, and then I couldn't fix it. Ezra Miller is crazy.
Nailed it.
My aunt knew Conway
One
Twitty.
of how many of them?
Yeah, well, this is one that's actually here in South Carolina.
Gotcha.
She knew Conway Twitty and took one of her friends to
Wait, knew him personally?
Twitty City or whatever that is.
Twitty City.
Yeah, I forget what. No, he had some.
No, that's what it is. It's Twitty City.
Yeah, and they were in a room, and he came in and sang "Hello, Darling" and put his arm around my aunt's friend, and she nearly passed out.
Conway Twitty was an icon, man. Noted sex symbol Conway Twitty, ladies and gentlemen.
Whatever, it's country, it's still torture.
Did he have that hair at the time?
I don't know. I
I
wasn't
think
there.
the hair is what did it for the ladies.
Probably. It was a good head of hair. I will at least appreciate and acknowledge that. Beef.
Freaking beef. I can't get away from beef. No. Why would they? My goodness, this team was good back in the 1940s. I should love them today. Somebody just texted the other show Netflix is transgender. What? What did Netflix do to you, man?
They might be. I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Hello! Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are glad to be here. Appreciate you hanging out with us on a beautiful Upstate Wednesday afternoon. Wimbledon going on right now, and none of you care. None of you care. What you did.
Wimbledon always has a place in my heart because when
Because you look great in all white.
that's beside the point. I look great in all colors. We were
Especially khaki.
when I was it's amazing. Thank you for bringing up that paying. Never got that $20 back. I my one of my teammates in college who was psycho and roided out would sit and watch Wimbledon with me. It was just weird. I didn't really want to. You watching Wimbledon? I am now. And it was the only time the dude was ever calm. His name was Norman. Every other time it looked like he was going to kill somebody. But he would sit down and he would watch Wimbledon. I believe it was when Boris Becker and all those guys were in their heyday, to the point where whenever I see that, that's who I think of. And it's, it makes me calm.
I check in. I mean, we've been watching Wimbledon for the last, week and a half every day. Which, by the way, I know I guess it's like a great honor to be selected to be a ball boy at Wimbledon, to be the kid that stands
Come
in
on
the
now.
corner.
Girls do it too. So it's not just.
To be a ball person.
There we go. I guess that's what they're called. Rob is raising his hand. And then,
you got to hold the ball up in the air so they know, because otherwise, how would the tennis player know that you, the ball boy in uniform, are the one to get the balls from if you don't stand straight up and hold the ball? I don't.
It's tradition and etiquette, those things that you don't really care for. And that's why they have to do it. I'm trying to figure out why you went Superman pose and part of that.
Because that's what they do. They put the hand, because I can't go hands behind the back in the chair, but they go hands behind the back and that you have to stand in this place this way for this long and do this and do that and wear this.
I have long mentioned on the air, and I will continue to do so, that my dream, even though I will not fly no matter what, is to play croquet at Wimbledon, because it is the tennis and croquet club. To get to play real croquet against, Britons, I would just love to do that.
What a bucket list.
That's pretty much that and going to Arrowhead. That's my two things. Arrowhead, a little more possible.
Sure.
Because I could drive there. But I'm waiting till I get old enough to buy a Winnebago.
I watch it. I watch Wimbledon, I watch the French Open, I watch the Aussie Open, I watch them all. But you guys don't. Is there?
I liked it better when there was an American male that was actually good enough to win.
It does make it easier to watch when we have a threat.
It's been a really long time.
Yeah.
And with Serena no longer,
good.
Well, there's that.
I feel bad for her. She came back. That injury.
Yeah,
did her
and
in.
you get older. It happens.
Yeah, that injury did her in. She's not the same. Now Taylor Fritz is an American, and Taylor Fritz is playing relatively well. Unfortunately for Taylor Fritz, he has run up against a cat by the name of Nadal, and he's pretty good.
I know it makes me sound old, but give me some Andre Agassi hair back when he had hair before he just decided it's all gone.
Sincere question. I know that not having an American who is an actual threat kind of is a bummer. Is it good or bad? Because we talk about this in football, right? College football all the time. Oh, it's every year. It's Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, right? We're tired of that. It's repetitive. But at the same time, every year the ratings go up. It's one of those things where everybody loves to complain about how bored they are with the current setup, but everybody keeps coming back. Tennis, it's Nadal and it's Federer every time. It's always Nadal and Federer. That's not to say there aren't names out there that we know. That's not to say that there aren't some up-and-coming players.
No, it is to say that. It absolutely is to say that, and that's the problem. It's the same problem that golf has. There's just, there are stars. In this case, there are stars, but they're not from here. And we like to root for people who are from here, made in America, baby.
Yeah, and I guess that's it, right? You don't get the first American. Actually, the first American on the world tennis rankings is Taylor Fritz, who is coming up against Rafa Nadal. Nadal in majors this year, has won the two that have happened, the Aussie Open and the French Open, and he's 18-0 between all of those matches, right? So, I know that there are more names out there. Right now, it's Fed, it's Nadal, and it's Djokovic, right? Those are the three. It's always those three towards the end. Now, as dude, the lady friend loves tennis, right? So I watch tennis with her. That's the sport that she watches that I watch with her, as opposed to the other way around. But so I know some of the names: Tsitsipas, Ruud, Berrettini.
Don't recognize anything yet.
Right. I mean, Tsitsipas played. We literally watched him play yesterday, right? He was on TV. They put him up on the main thing. But I know some of the names: Medvedev. Some of the names that are towards the top, but it's always Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic.
There was a time where there were Americans in it, and they were household names. I mean, even going back to Jimmy Connors, Chris Evert, there were just names.
I agree, but all the guys and gals that are in that group, those guys and gals, they were out of their prime when I was a kid, right? Like, yes, guys like Agassi and McEnroe and Sampras and all these names, if you're, and I don't say this to as a shot here, if you're Zoe's age, you watch those guys play in their prime. I'm 37. I caught the end of Agassi. He had lost the locks by the time that I got to Agassi. He was already bald by the time I got to Agassi.
So he wasn't even doing the Nikon commercials.
Yeah.
Those were already over with.
I got the very end of Sampras.
And at least we had Venus and Serena.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so we had that for a long period of time to give us some interest. Not on the men's side, but at least we had some women. And now we don't really have that either. I mean, they're trying to build some names, but they're not winning.
Tennis was one of two sports where, at least in terms of American sports, the women gave us a reason to watch. The men did not. Serena and Venus dominated the world of tennis for many years. I can say successfully and accurately in my lifetime, I have watched more women's tennis than men's because of Venus and Serena in their prime. And that's a statement of fact. As far as American men, Andy Roddick for a while looked like he was going to be that guy. But he just never could cry. He never get over the hump.
He was on the fringe, and it may come down to the people ahead of him. Sometimes there's someone else coming into their prime when you are, and you just can't get past them. And it might be a matter of that, I guess.
Yeah. I think that, Roddick was really close. But then this young cat named Roger Federer showed up. And Federer just owned Andy Roddick. In fairness, Federer owned everybody, but Roddick was our guy. Roddick was supposed to be the next guy that put American tennis back on the map, and Federer kicked his ass constantly to the point that I think he broke Andy Roddick at the end of his career, right? So,
by the way, Nadal doesn't age. It's so weird.
Yeah, Texter just said, Rod, Federer ain't putting in much work anymore. He's old. Dude, Federer at 75% is still one of the best 10 tennis players in the world, right? And then he ramps it up for majors. But Nadal is still very good, and Joker is still very good, right? So I have two questions as we watch the men's quarterfinal here between Fritz and Nadal. Number one, I guess I got three questions. Number one, would you be more interested in Wimbledon, French Open, Aussie Open? Would you feel more in the U.S. Open, the four majors? Would you feel more inclined to watch if there was an American who was a threat? Would you be more inclined to watch if there was an American Roger Federer, an American Rafa Nadal, an American Djokovic? Number two, would you be more intrigued to watch if it was not the same three dudes battling for every trophy, if it was not Nadal, Fed, and Joker at every major championship battling it out for a dub. And number three, now that I've spent 8 minutes on it, Zoe, and I'm asking you as well as our listeners here, is there space, aside from it's my show and I can talk about whatever the hell I want to, is there room for tennis on a show, on this show? Is there room for tennis for it?
If there's an American vying for it and it's Wimbledon, I think Wimbledon is the one that everyone talks about, even more so than U.S. Open or any other ones, French Open. It's Wimbledon.
If we get to the finals, when we get to the finals, so we're in the quarters, we got obviously a few more days of competition here. If we get to the finals and it's Nadal Fed or Nadal Joker or Joker Fed or Joker Nadal, even if it's a combination of the big three, how much Wimbledon should I, can I, would I talk? Right? Like, is it a segment the day of? Is it a segment the day after? Is it a segment the day of and the day after? Is it 2 segments the day after? Like, how much tennis do you think it is a good idea to or not to put on the show?
Well, if our guy should happen to get an upset today.
If Fritzy gets an upset, I think it mandates some time.
Yeah. I mean, it's unlikely, but he's only down 1 game. So, I mean, it did just start, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's down a game to Rafi. And again, look, he's a massive here. I'm even gonna go. And
it's not even down a set. He's only down a game.
He's down 1 game. But Nadal squarely beat him in that game. Let me see if I can pull up live odds here. Djokovic to win Wimbledon outright. Djokovic is minus 300 on the money. To win it outright. That's to win the whole tournament, Lonzo. To win the whole tournament. With the best tennis players in the world all assembled. Now, granted, we're in the quarters, so there's only a handful of guys left. But with Nadal, with Fritz, with Norrie, to win it all, Novak Djokovic is minus 300. Means you got to bet $300 to win 100 back. Rafi is plus 5. Nobody else is better than plus 9. That's insane. I wanted to see what the live bet was for Fritzy to be able to knock off Nadal just in this game. Or just in this match, I should say. But they've taken that down. You can't even bet on this anymore. Nadal is up 1 set. 1 set. And they've already taken it off the board. It's unreal. Texter says, yes, Rob, there is room for tennis on the show. Tennis fans are known primarily for eating default hot dogs, which come with mustard, chili, and onion. Of course. Of course you had to. Texter said, tennis and golf are 2 sports that just don't interest me no matter who's playing. It's been that way since Anna Kournikova retired.
We all have our reasons, you know.
For the record, Texter, you got a chuckle out of Lonzo with that text. Well done. That doesn't happen very often.
I've forgotten about her till that moment.
Anna Kournikova. Every one of us had a crush on Anna Kournikova. There are 2 kinds of people who didn't have a crush on Anna Kournikova. Liars and bigger liars. Anna Kournikova. I haven't even thought about Anna Kournikova in a number of years. Look, this isn't, and we've had this almost exact same conversation, regarding golf. Golf has failed in that they don't promote, and I think baseball to some degree, in that they don't promote personalities. They don't promote people that we can see ourselves in, right? I've given you my thoughts on Tiger Woods many times. Tiger was Tiger because Tiger was a lump of clay. You could mold Tiger into whatever you wanted him to be. If you were my
I hate to interrupt here,
Yeah.
but I got to let everyone know that Anna Kournikova aged well. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, Anna Kournikova's still beautiful.
Because I was just curious.
Yeah, she's still beautiful. No doubt. Some people just win the genetic lottery, and Anna Kournikova's on that list. Where was I going with that?
I completely apologize.
That's
I
all
was-
good.
You were talking about
it
Tiger
needed to be
Woods.
said. Tiger Woods. Tiger was a lump of clay, and the PGA pushed him as such. They did not push Tiger Woods as this is Tiger Woods. They allowed Tiger Woods to be what Tiger needed to be. And Tiger could be, if you were my dad, Tiger was a guy who played old school aggressive golf. If you were me, Tiger was that vicious killer that on Sunday made golf a blood sport. If you were my mom, Tiger Woods was the young, handsome $1 million man with a $1 billion smile who could sell you a car even if you didn't need one. If you were my little brother, Tiger was the dude on the video game cover, and now buying a golf video game was cool, right? You could get whatever you wanted out of Tiger. So when you looked at Tiger, you could see yourself in Tiger. I saw myself as the Sunday killer. My brother saw the guy who sold video games. My dad saw the guy that attacked a golf course, not each other. My mom saw a young, good-looking, rich guy with a smile, right? And Tiger pushed golf to limits it had not been in decades. Who's that guy in Major League Baseball? Who's that guy in tennis? There ain't one. And that's the problem. All right, Texter says, I realized I went through puberty when I saw Anna Kournikova. Anna Kournikova was in a Maxim magazine spread a number of years ago. And I am willing to bet that Anna Kournikova sold more subscriptions to Maxim than Maxim did at that point. Maxim was the go-to when you weren't old enough to order Playboy. You got Maxim. Anna Kournikova. Texter on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with Fan. We'll read them on the air. Texter said, when I was a kid in the 80s and 90s, Wimbledon was must-watch television. Now I couldn't care less, and it's sad. It is a little sad.
But why'd you grow out of it, Texter? Is it like me? Did you grow out of it because there are no Americans that vie for the championship?
Yeah, that's the right guy to answer that question, right? That's the right guy to answer that question. What made it must-see TV in the 80s and 90s, and why is it not must-see TV now? It's not like you can't get great coverage of it. ESPN's been airing it every day. You can go to their website right now and watch any event that you want if it's not the center court match, right? What happened that Wimbledon went from being must-see television to just a thing that's on Wednesday morning at 10:15 when Rob and Lonzo were talking? Texter said, to be a Google consultant. Oh, no, sorry. Steven said, to be a Google consultant and see a spike in our area of people Googling Anna Kournikova. Thanks, Zoe.
There are no Google consultants. There are only AI.
Skynet knows. All right, let's take a break. What's your thoughts on that? Texter said, exactly, Zoe. When the Americans fell out, I lost interest. I used to rock Agassi's shoes and everything. Did Agassi have his own line?
Dude, he was everywhere.
Hey, I was a young
and,
kid.
And
when
part
he
of
was in his
it, a lot of it was the hair.
Yeah.
And who he
Oh, no
was
doubt.
and who he was dating and all that kind of stuff.
He
So,
had the hair of the most glamorous 80s glam rockers. And now he's known for the exact opposite of that. Texter said, I was a big Agassi guy, and now I'm not. Or now there's no American. Yeah, it's the problem. It's kind of catch-22. And I don't know what the solution is of, if there's no Americans so everybody stops watching Wimbledon, young kids aren't going to get into it enough to progress the next generation of Americans to get back to making Wimbledon
well,
must-see
maybe
TV.
the fact that they weren't into it enough to be the next one it caused everyone. So don't blame it. Blame it on the parents for not teaching their kid to be the next whichever.
Texter said Agassi had dope kicks. Now I'm gonna be good. The tech spikes are now gonna be Anna Kournikova and Andre Agassi sneaks. Texter says golf needs a Happy Gilmore, Will Zalatoris as a caddy pair. Yeah, those are I need exactly. Let the personality shine. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. For this. All right, we have I have come to two realizations, revelations. One of you pervs has allowed me to find out that Anna Kournikova has an Instagram account, and two, her last name is now Anna Kournikova Iglesias. Let's see.
Is it excuse me,
You right there, buddy?
Enrique?
Yes, it is Enrique Iglesias.
I thought Julio was a little too old, but Enrique would have been around.
Yeah, that's right.
You're right. Was he married to Jennifer Lopez?
No, I think it was. It doesn't say on his Wikipedia page. I think if I married Jennifer Lopez, I would have added it to my own Wikipedia page.
No, it was Mark Anthony.
That's right.
I looked up Jennifer Lopez husbands. That's how I was able to find it. I knew there were
The
multiple.
list.
Yeah. I think Enrique had.
Anna Kournikova and Enrique had a baby 2020.
I think Enrique had a career, but I think it was more so Spanish speaking more than.
I would say he had crossover appeal.
I have no idea how this. Never mind. There we go. Google help me. Thank you, Lambda. Oh, I looked up his hits. None of them. Well, Hero. I can be your hero, baby.
I can kiss away your pain.
I will take your breath away.
Why do I remember that song?
It was. I think it was in a superhero movie. Maybe I don't know. It was used a bunch.
I can be your hero. You know, ordinarily I'd come back and I go, "Hey, come watch the stream." It may be in your best interest not to watch the stream now.
Oh no, you should watch it. It was amazing.
So the conversation about Anna Kournikova led us down a rabbit hole I did not know I was going to go down today. One of you perv listeners decided to let me know during the break that Anna Kournikova has an Instagram. And one of your perv hosts was like, well, I got to go see what Anna Kournikova's up today. Turns out Anna Kournikova is in a long-term relationship with Enrique Iglesias. You remember the singer? He was very popular for, 2 decades or so. Enrique Iglesias was constantly considered one of the sexiest men in all of North and Central America. She apparently is in a relationship with Enrique Iglesias. They had a baby not too long ago. So I went and peeped Anna Kournikova's Instagram because, again, who of us at my age wasn't in love with Anna Kournikova?
It's called show research.
Show prep. Yeah, exactly right. Well, while I'm doing that, Zoe and I went down the rabbit hole of, okay, so Enrique was with Jennifer Aniston. Nope. Jennifer Lopez. Nope. Jennifer Lopez was with Mark Anthony. And then we started looking at, and then we came across the song Hero. I can be your hero, baby. I can kiss away your pain. I could stay like this forever. You can take my breath away. Right? What an absolute...
I still hate you for being able to roll your R's.
An absolute dumpster fire of a break that was as a whole.
All right, so he's downplaying how amazing it was, and some of you were actually there for it. And I just want to say, you're welcome.
Let me just say, I'm very happy that happened off the air, because otherwise that would have been turned into probably the first promo that I didn't want on the air.
Man, I would have to go back and find some hero music. That would have been great.
Yeah, that may have turned into the first promo I didn't want aired.
By the way, I can get the audio off the video.
Oh, that's right. It's on the stream. Oh, this is terrible.
And I wasn't going to do it, but now you basically dared me.
Terrible. All right. Fan. Agassi's shoes were the Nike Air Tech Challenge Lava. Google those bad boys. They came in black and white, straight fire. Am I going to Google those right now, Lonzo? Yes, I am.
So is Rob Brown a shoe guy? Is he?
So here's the problem. I would be a shoe guy.
According to Patrick Mahomes, a sneakerhead?
A sneakerhead. Here's the problem. I just Googled these shoes, and they're actually kind of dope. All right? I actually kind of really like them.
So they wouldn't be considered dad kicks,
No, I mean,
even though they came out like 30 years ago or something.
if Dad Kicks and Jordans had a baby, they would be the Nike Air Tech Challenge 2 Lava. All right? If Dad Kicks and Jordans had a baby, this is what they'd be. They're actually kind of sick. I kind of like them. Here's why I can't be a sneakerhead. The cheapest that I can find these shoes in a quick Google search, the quickest that I can find these shoes on the cheap Zoe is in nearly all black, which I don't love. For $188.
Are these new?
Yeah, new.
Okay, you know.
$188 because apparently Nike will still make them if you order them, but you gotta order them.
How does that work? Do they hand make them? I mean,
I don't know if you guys know this, but I can damn near go on a whole vacation for $188, right? I can't buy, because the other part is I'll spend $188 on sneaks, right? I'll spend $188 on sneaks, and then I'll never wear them because I spent $188 on them, right? The lady friend bought me, not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before, for Christmas. You know the Nike Air Pegasus, which are the ones that they put the team logos on, right? So she bought me a pair of white Air Pegasus New Orleans Saints sneaks. They're super legit. I'm gonna pull them up and put them on the. I'm gonna pull them up and put them on the stream real quick. But she bought me a pair of Saints sneaks, and they're super legit. Yeah, here they are. And so she got them for me. They're not cheap, right? And I know they're not cheap, which made it a spectacular Christmas gift. There they are right there on the right, Lonzo. I don't know if you can, let me go full stream. If you're not watching the stream, you know what we're talking about, you should be. Facebook.com/thefanupstate, or go to,
I can see it better up there.
Yeah, or go to YouTube and search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show. So those are the Air Pegasus. They're like black and gold. They got the Saints logo on the side.
Those are nice.
They're super slick. Super slick.
Do they make those in Chiefs colors?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. In fact, I'll go so far as to see if I can find them for you. They come in team white or team colors for most teams. She got me the white ones. And anyway, in getting those for me, let's see. There's the Chiefs in black and red, Zoe.
Ooh.
These are about $130 a pair. All right, about $130 a pair.
I might need some of that.
Yeah, exactly right. You know what these turn into for me? They turn into game day shoes, right? I only wear them on game days. So I wore them about 6 times, and the last time, now there's a brown stain on one of them, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me! $130 on these shoes. Brown stain.
Wait. You wore shoes and you walked in them, and you're surprised they got. I mean,
look at them. What about sit in my damn living room with them, right? Like, no, I'm gonna wear them, but that's why I can't buy $200 sneaks. Because then I'll put them on to walk to my couch and take pictures of them.
If I spend $80 on shoes, I feel guilty. So,
yeah.
I mean, so, yeah.
Exactly.
And that has nothing to do with my age. That's been me forever.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Let me put it this way. There's an employee store for one of the major shoe brands around here. I don't buy new shoes.
New Balance?
Actually, I think that's one of them. But it's Adidas, right? That's where I got the trendy kicks from. Right?
When you buy Adidas, do you sing My Adidas?
Do I sing My Adidas?
You don't know the song My Adidas?
I don't. I know My Sharona. It's a different song, I'm assuming.
Run DMC, dude.
Gotcha. What a big DMC guy. They were kind of out of the mix before I came into my music own.
I have heard you sing It's Tricky.
Well, yeah, that's
I'm not being counter. I've heard you sing
it's
it.
the band.
Yeah, I know.
They did that. I buy new kicks about once every 2 years. And since I moved here, it is only when somebody hooks me up with a pass to the employee store where I get 50% off. Then I go buy like 4 pairs of shoes at $40-$50 a pop, and they last me for 2 years.
Must be good to be Rob Brown. I don't
Good
have
to be
those
king.
kind of friends.
Good to be
I
king.
like some of those kind of friends, though.
Good to be king. That's it. I can't do $200 kicks. As sick as the Agassi Nike Air Techs are, I can't do $200 tennis shoes.
See, I can't be critical of people who collect shoes because I collect statues and things like that. Collecting shoes, same thing.
I'm not judging you. I just can't do it.
I just don't know if you're a collector of shoes, do you actually wear them? Or do you put them up on a shelf somewhere for people to, hey, look at my shoes?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer. All right, let me take a break. Texture says, I can't spend that much on shoes. The dang neighbor's dog gets in my garage and steals them. If you spent $300, $200 on shoes and you just leave them in the garage, that's on you, dude.
Hey, maybe the garage is a sanctuary. Maybe that's his man cave. Maybe that's where he puts his stuff, you know? Could be. Stupid dog.
All right. Let's go to a break. When we come back, we talked about it earlier. I foresee. Give me that Johnny Carson, what is it, the great, what was the character he did with the envelope? Come on, Zoe, you know this.
Why? Because I'm old? He's wearing a Swami hat. I forget what it might be, the something Swami.
The great Karnak.
There we go. Okay.
When we come back, the future of college football. I'll tell you what it is.
Who's old now? You're bringing up Carson. How many people actually know that he was on the Tonight Show?
How many people know he was the absolute GOAT? At least one. Tell you what the great Karnak foresees as the future of college football when we come back. Rob Lonzo, you, the fan upstate.
Don't bark like that. That same truck came in when I got here, and now they're back again, hauling the trailer, and I don't know what's in the trailer.
We got a mystery unfolding.
We do.
Have you heard of the Georgia Guidestones?
Yes.
Okay, somebody blew one of them up this morning.
What?
Courtney just sent me a link saying that there was an explosion reported at the Georgia Guidestones about 4 a.m. Authorities have the Guidestones closed off right now, and people were taking pictures of a distance, which appears to show a pile of rubble. So 2 of them are still standing. The third you can't see, and there's apparently a big. So it looks like somebody blew up one of them.
So what was said on that particular Guidestone that caused them to blow it up?
So, oh no! Oh for today. Thing. All the Guidestones say the same thing. They just say it in like 20 different languages.
I thought the message changed or something. And I couldn't figure out why.
No, it's the same message in different languages. It's in English, Spanish, French, like Japanese, Arabic,
Martian?
and Martian.
Harmless prank or sign of our doom being
I just
nigh.
texted Courtney. I said the New World Order is making their move.
That's impossible because if they were, you would know.
Yeah, but I wouldn't tell you.
You're a 1%er.
I wouldn't tell you.
That's true. We, the rabble, only find out when things are on fire.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you. Zoe. Fritzy is leading Nadal right now. Fritzy up 4-3 in the first set.
Look at that.
Fritzy. I like it. And he's kind of feeling himself a little bit right now. We'll keep you updated on this. Nadal sitting on a double break point right now, but Fritzy is 40-15. If he could break this one and get it back, he's up 4-3 in the first set. Spectacular. Love to see that. We'll keep you up to date on how that breaks down moving forward. Got a couple more things I wanted to get into, but I'm going to go Great Karnak for just a second. For you youngins who don't know who Johnny Carson is, I want you to think late night TV, but funny. I mean, there's some guys I like. I think Colbert has his moments.
Okay, because I'm just a little shocked that you're not down for all these guys.
There's some I like, some I don't. You know what I think it is? I think every late night show host has his strengths, but a lot of them don't. Like Johnny Carson was significantly well-rounded, right? Carson was a great interview, but he was also ridiculously hilarious.
He was also very quick with the snark.
Oh, yeah.
Which made, yes.
Oh, yeah. Love Carson.
Also, underneath with it. I mean, Ed McMahon also, underneath with their snark to the point where some of the guests, it would take them a second to get what they just did before they all would start laughing. Yes.
Yeah. Love Carson. I think most of the guys today have their hits and misses, right? I think James Corden is a really good interview, not particularly funny in the monologuing / carry the show role of that job.
He was very good in Doctor Who, by the way. I know you don't watch Doctor Who, but you know.
Colbert, I think, is very good at monologuing, but goes so far sometimes that he just pushes like even anybody that's not as far on his side of the political spectrum away. But I think he's a great interview. I think he does a phenomenal job interviewing. Jimmy Fallon. I think Fallon is a decent monologue. I think he's an okay interview, but Fallon plays those silly games and does the skits on his show that kind of carry the show, right? Johnny Carson was the most well-rounded. There are two guys, I think, in late night. This is not a late night TV monologue, but I got to give credit to somebody else too. There are two guys that I think embody late night hosting. Carson was the OG and the best. The other guy who never gets enough credit, Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson was an incredibly talented late night host.
I would have thought you would have thrown some Conan in there. I'm a little
Not
shocked.
a Conan guy. Not a Conan guy. Craig Ferguson.
No Letterman.
I like Letterman. I always liked Letterman, but I liked Letterman because it was more surreal than funny, right? Like Letterman was crazy surreal. Letterman creeped me out. Like whenever he would interview like young women on his show, he always got like, he'd always be sitting like right on the very corner of the desk and like leaning. And it always creeped me out a
You
little
mean
bit.
how you would probably interview them?
No,
Okay.
I would not, because I'm not trying to get up in anybody's bubble.
Okay.
Respect the bubble. Craig Ferguson was as good as it gets. Johnny Carson was the best. Anyway, Carson had his character, the Great Karnak, where he made jokes, right? He'd be like, pick an envelope up, and he'd hold it to his head, and then he'd go, a 1973 Ford Fiesta. And he'd blow the envelope, and he'd pull it out, and he'd say, name a lemon. You know, it's like, because that's the... Anyway, let me go Great Karnak on the future of college football. Here's how it's going to work. Notre Dame is going to pick a conference. They're going to pick the ACC, they're going to pick the Big Ten, or they're going to pick the SEC. We know that. If Notre Dame picks the ACC has a very good chance at holding on to Miami, Florida State, Clemson, Virginia, North Carolina, or combinations of. We will have 3 power conferences. They will be big conferences. You will end up with each conference having a handful of teams that are very competitive every year. And then you'll have a handful of conferences that aren't. The other option is Notre Dame does not pick the ACC and they go to the Big 12. Scratch that. They go to the Big 10 or they go to the Southeastern Conference. In which case, you're going to have 2 power conferences. In which case, Clemson, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, Virginia will end up in one of those conferences. Not all of them together. They'll get split up. But there'll be bidding wars to those schools from the 2 power conferences. And ultimately, what you're going to end up with is you are going to end up with 2 power conferences and then a 3rd conference. And that 3rd conference will include everybody else. Duke, NC State, Wake Forest, it will Boston College, Pittsburgh. All of those schools will end up there. The Big 12 schools that are left behind, Kansas State, Baylor, Texas Tech, will end up there. The Pac-12 schools that get left behind, and this one's a little bit more confusing because I don't officially know what schools are going to be left over, but I would expect Cal will be left. They'll be in that conference. I would expect Stanford will be left over. They'll end up in that conference. Washington or Washington State will be left over and left in that conference. I think Oregon State might both be big enough, but maybe just Oregon goes in and Oregon State gets left behind. And the rest of those schools that get left behind, will end up being sent into that 3rd major conference, if you can call it major. It'll be sent into that 3rd major conference. And you will end up having 2 levels of college football. You will have the big dog level. That'll be whatever the SEC becomes, whatever the Big Ten becomes, they'll play each other for a national championship. You will see likely those schools in those go to a 9 or 10 game conference schedule plus 2 or 3 games from across the conference, right? Because let's say you're Florida State and you end up in the Big Ten. Well, you still want to be able to play Florida every year, right? Over in the SEC. So they'll schedule 2 or 3 cross-power conference games, right? Clemson in the Big Ten will still play South Carolina out of the SEC every year. That'll be written into the rules. And then you'll have at the end the winners, or we'll say top 2 or top 4, whatever it's going to be. We'll have the Power 5 or Power 2 conference playoffs, and then the ultimate winners of those conferences will play each other for a national championship. Meanwhile, down in the lesser division, the lesser conference, if you will, you will have a lot of teams. That conference will actually end up with more teams in it than the SEC and the Big Ten. They'll compile those teams into a third super conference. That super conference will end up having its own national champion. And they'll just be split up that way. They'll just end up splitting that way, and you'll have 2 national champions. You'll have your top tier national champ. That'll include whatever the SEC and the Big Ten become. And then you'll have your lower level national champion. Because we'll still watch that, right? We'll still watch it. There's a trophy, there's stakes. And a good chunk of the country will be fans of schools that are not in the SEC/Big Ten, whatever they are called in the future. So there'll still be stakes to that. There'll still be pressure there. There'll still be championships and records and all that to be won and talked about, etc. And that's how you split it up. All of this hinges on Notre Dame. I really believe that. All of this hinges on Notre Dame and where they bring their power, where they bring their money. If they bring it to the SEC or the Big 12, the rest of the conferences die. If they bring it to the ACC survives. The Big 12 and the Pac-12 are pillaged by the SEC and the Big 10 and the ACC, and then everybody left still creates one lower conference. Welcome to the future of college football, friends. You don't have to like it. You will have to accept it. Rob Lonzo and you. We got 1 hour left of the Rob Brown Show, and it's next right here on the Fan Upstate.
You get a chance, look at the video I just sent. If you haven't
I was
seen
just
it
about to.
before. Luke is asking about the Liberty playoffs.
Okay. I'll be right there. Luke, hang on 2 seconds for me. Oh, God.
You watched all the way to the end? It gets, yeah. I know.
What was happening here? Uncle Mike over there with the damn fireworks. Golly.
I know. That's just. Man, imagine trying to explain that to your insurance company. Car blew up. House
What
caught
happened?
on fire.
Uncle Mike with the damn M80s. All right, let's see what you got here. Rob, are you old enough to remember the Arsenio Hall? Vaguely, but I've seen a lot of clips of it from back then. Do you think Duke's basketball program will put them in one of the two big programs? Maybe, right? Maybe. They're one of a few basketball programs that are profitable, so maybe. The interesting thing is going to be, will they end up opposite of Carolina? And I think the answer to that is yes. Is this new conference structure just for football? It's for all sports. And that is one of the big complaints about it is now USC's swimming and diving team has to travel to Nebraska for meets, right? Like that's 1,500 miles of separation.
Oh, that's sweet.
I don't have my glasses.
It's got an anime painted on the side of the car.
Gotcha.
I know it means nothing to you, but that's cool.
All right, let's see. Do we know when the Liberty have home playoffs? I don't mind hearing off air. Yes, Luke, we do. In fact, I mentioned that on the show earlier, but I will happily tell you again. The first match is going to be at home next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, that match is likely going to be a 7 p.m. kick. Might be a little earlier, might be a little later. We will know the time today, and we will know the opponent today. As a matter of fact, I think right now, or coming up in just a few minutes, the Liberty front office is going to be on the phone with the USLW League, and we will find out who our first round opponent is and what time that kick is going to be. But it will be next Wednesday at home at Legacy Early College, and tickets will go on sale at 2 o'clock today at GreenvilleLiberty.com, GreenvilleLiberty.com. And yes, I will be there. All right, let me go grab a water because I let this one get warm.
Yeah, well, hurry. I mean, you know. Prisma in the first break.
Prisma.
If next week I'm able to accomplish what I want to accomplish as far as mics go, I want everyone to talk at once and see if we can break the thing.
You are an engineer's nightmare.
Well, it's beta testing.
How will you guys know unless we do
Exactly. And since, you know, an engineer will be present, I'd hate for him to have to work.
I didn't want to ask, is he coming on the show Saturday? Don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. Not sure if it's permitted. But again, neither is that many microphones. So
I would rather ask forgiveness than permission, but it's your show.
I'm a rebel.
I'm just here to roll some dice.
Make people die.
I have no interest in killing you. I will, but I don't want to.
You talked about laying on hands. I will bring someone back with one health.
I will lay some hands on him.
With 1 point. That's what I will do.
The third, the fight, the best, the money hour. The Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob Brown. The Alpha and the Omega, the Fan Upstate. Lonzo's over on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking. You can be on the air with us. Make yourself a part of the show. I had a conversation a couple weeks ago with our buddy Mike Stathakis, a P1 of really the whole station, but with a show. And he said, I notice, he said, how many phone calls do you get that you don't put on the air? Zero. Unless you call in and you do or say something that makes Lonzo not trust you, you get on the air, right? Unless you do or say something while you're on hold with Zoe that makes him go, I can't trust this guy on the air, you're getting on.
And don't think that's not possible, because it's definitely possible. I've been doing this a really long time.
Yeah, he
Not that I'm daring you to try and get by me, because, you know.
And again, for the record, don't
Yeah.
think you're smart by being nice to Zoe and then coming on the air and just saying something bad, because we have tools to prevent that from getting out.
I got the quick hook, yo.
Yeah. But, Stathakis said, when I said, it's funny, I said, we get a ton of text. We get people interacting on the street. We get people interacting on Twitter. We
Because
don't take a bunch of calls.
Most people are at work at this time, and that's
Sure.
how that works. And you got your earpiece in, or you're watching online, or whatever, and your boss might notice if you're on your phone.
Some of y'all got real jobs where you have to do stuff. Which sounds terrible, but I get it. So anyway, I say, we every call we get goes on the air. Every call we get goes on the air. I said, but we don't take as many as you'd think. And he said, I think it's because people don't want to butt heads over sports, which is why, and Lonzo will, I think, acknowledge this is true. When we talk hot dogs and chili, phone lines happen. When we talk Anna Kournikova, calls happen. And a lot of people go, I don't want to go on the air. I just want to tell Rob that. And that's fine, too. I'm good with that. Lonzo's not, but I am.
No, it's not fine. That's not how things are done. If you want to call, you call to be on the air.
But here's what I'm saying. Even if we disagree, especially if we disagree, I still want you to come on the air and talk with me about it, right? We're here to have fun. We're here to have fun. So the phone lines are open, 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. Text line's open, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, 71307. Start your text with FAN. I am still getting text about late night talk show host, sneakers, and Anna Kournikova. What a day we're having on the text line today, kids.
Being competitive with WRD right now, as far as the text line goes.
Yeah, I'm proud.
My personal goal always is to talk about something that causes the producer over there to text me and go, what are you guys talking about? Which has happened a couple times.
Yeah.
So
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Tim
indeed.
Tim gets concerned on occasion.
All right. Gave you guys my thoughts on the future of college football based on expansion talk. We don't necessarily need to do more expansion talk today, but the option is on the table. Should you elect to, you are welcome to. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Text line, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. What are your thoughts on expansion? Do you think what I think is inevitable is possible? Do you think that it is possible that we may ultimately end up seeing two power conferences, one not powerful conference, the NPCs, perfect, the not power conference, the NPCs. Do we end up seeing NPCs versus the Power Five? Would they play each other for a title? Would we just go the big king of the Power Five conferences are the national champs, and then also the lower level national champs are the MPC conference? How's that work out? I've told you my thought, my prediction, my thoughts on it. I will take yours as well. A couple more things I wanted to get to today on the radio broadcast. How about this? We mentioned last week that the University of South Carolina has been recruiting exceptionally exceptionally well out of the state of Florida. They picked up another 4-star out of the state of Florida. They've got like 8 commits of 3-star or better out of the Sunshine State. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Welp, Clemson is doing the same thing for 2023 in the state of Georgia. They picked up for the 2023 class 4-star tackle Zechariah Owens out of Eagles Landing Christian Academy in McDonough, Georgia. He is ranked number 169 overall and the 16th ranked tackle in the 24/7 composite. You want to know how in demand this kid was? 10 offers out of the SEC alone. South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, Mississippi, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State. 5 offers out of the ACC. Miami, FSU, Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Clemson. He also had offers out of Southern Cal, out of Penn State, out of Michigan State, and more. And he picked Clemson. 3rd offensive lineman to commit to the Tigers for 2023 joins Harris Sewell from Odessa, Texas, who committed last week, and tackle Ian Reed of Austin, Texas, who announced on June 7th. Reed is interesting in that Reed was being recruited by Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Texas A&M to come play for them. And he also picked Clemson. He is the number 16 tackle overall. You have a few of the top 25 tackles for the 2023 class lined up for Clemson right now. 16 commitments. And that is very interesting. And it's interesting because 8 of them are from Georgia. 8, half of the 2023 signees so far, half of them are from the Peach State. That is pretty good.
Is that because Clemson's locked out of some other places, some hotbeds? Do they just not get enough out of the hotbed, so they had to go to Georgia?
First off, I think Georgia has gotten more recognition for the talent that state produces over the last couple of years. And obviously with Georgia winning the national championship, there is more attention being paid to that state at this point. I think you look at the hotspot that is Florida right now. I think Clemson's got a couple of recruits, 1 or 2 out of there for the 2023 class. That's big. How about this text, Alonzo? You might appreciate this one. Rob, I cannot comprehend why these kids are picking Clemson. It's a college in bum bleep nowhere, a team on decline. I guess they got a lake? IDK blows my mind.
Those were my thoughts exactly. I just didn't verbalize them. I am still curious with a team that's supposedly on decline. We don't know till that. I mean, yeah, they had a season where they had more losses last year than they've had in a while. And they lost their defensive coordinator. They've had people leave the team that's supposed to be a team of family. They've said they don't care for the NIL. There's all these reasons why kids wouldn't go there, and still kids are going there.
I'm going to go with they go there because Dabo is liked by players.
You know, all sarcasm aside, Clemson's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty good this year.
Probably.
I mean, a chunk of it comes down to DJ. But if him or Cade put this thing together, they're going to be good this year. That's why they go there. They're not a bad team yet.
Yeah, they have reached, in some people's minds, elite status. You want to go to elite status. You also want to go somewhere where you got a chance to get to the next level. And Clemson has had a pretty good run of players going to the NFL.
Let me tell you this. Your college being in bum bleep nowhere, these kids, listen, There are advantages.
Some
to
people
being-
like cows and being surrounded by them. It makes them feel comfortable. There's that. That's okay. Maybe these guys come from the farmlands of Georgia. There's probably farmlands in Georgia. I don't know. And when they go to the farmlands of South Carolina, they just feel like they're home. There's nothing like the smell of manure in the morning. Or the gentle braying of sheep in the distance. I don't know.
Alexa, play farm noises for me to sleep to. There are advantages to having your college in Coral Gables, in Miami, in big cities. But a lot of powerhouses, because of the way that colleges and universities work, a lot of these colleges and universities are just kind of on their own, right? Gainesville's that way.
And if you go to a place like that, you are basically a god if you are a player.
You own that
so
city.
there is, as a young kid, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
you know?
you go to South Beach. And I'll tell you right now, I can't stand a Miami Hurricane. Except Zach Brown. I love you, Zach. But outside of that, I can't stand a cane. That being said, 18-year-old kid, and they go, you can come down here. We got you some NIL set up, and you're on South Beach. Yo, live music, good food, hot chicks in bathing suits year-round. I'm in. I'm all in, right? Flip side is, if you're a right tackle in South Beach, you're nobody. If you're a right tackle in Clemson, South Carolina, and you're a starter on the football team, you are a god amongst men, right? You just are. So that's not the best argument for everybody. Texas says, fan, they don't go to South Carolina because they don't want to be robbed, beaten, and or killed downtown.
Yeah, but they're coming from Georgia. So, they should be used to that, right?
My mother just texted and said her Alexa just started mooing at her.
Oh, I hope that's true. I hope that's amazing. By the way, you go to a small town, you get away with a little bit more because people tend to look the other way. Oh, he's with the Tigers.
No.
Yeah.
No. That doesn't happen. All right, I didn't want to go down that path. Clemson has been surging in Georgia. Half their 23 recruiting class comes out of that state. For the record, the Georgia Bulldogs have pulled 4. Now, I want to say this.
Are they grabbing from the rest of the country, though?
Grab, as Jimmy Buffett said, that shaker of salt. Because, as we have talked about, college football recruiting, is an international affair now. The University of Georgia is your defending national champion. Do you know which kids want to play for the University of Georgia as defending national champions? The best ones. As much as all of these other things, NIL, live music and hot chicks, as much as these kids want to play for those things, for the benefits of being a college football player, they also want to win, right? I'm going to guess it is relatively rare to find a college football player who goes, yeah, I don't care if we go 4-8, long as I get my sweet, sweet NIL money. I don't care if we go 4-8, long as I got my Dodge Charger, right? Long as I can walk into any bar in XYZville and pull the best looking gal out of there. I don't care if we win. You're not going to find that. These kids want to win. They work hard. It's not a joke. You can't not work hard. Can't do it. Georgia is the best winner right now. They got the trophy till somebody takes it from them. So, Georgia has opened up recruiting markets that in years past it may not have had great access to. So, Georgia is not going to pull mediocre players out of the state of Georgia to bring them in to be a Bulldog just for the sake of having Georgia kids on the roster. No college if your college could go 12-0 and win a national championship, I guess 14-0 and win a national championship, but there was not a single kid from your state on that roster, would you care? No. I looked this morning because I heard a radio host talking about SC. The USC, the one in Southern California, not the one here. And he was like, "Oh, you know, the thing is, you're taking a California football team and you're making it less Californian." Now, granted, there's a lot of Californias on the team, but Dublin, Georgia, Chandler, Arizona, Tampa, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada, Columbia, Tennessee, Washington, D.C., Marshall, Texas, Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas, Newton, Texas, Tacoma, Washington, Orlando, Florida, Houston, Berlin, Texas, Miami, Florida, Duncanville, Texas, Savaii, Western Samoa, Athens, Georgia, Portland, Oregon, Brookfield, Wisconsin, Honolulu, Hawaii, Austin, Morristown, New Jersey, Chandler, Arizona, Burtonsville, Maryland, Layton, Utah, Mesa, Arizona, Ewa Beach, Hawaii, Fairfield, Connecticut, Cedar Hills, Texas, Camas, Washington, Chandler, Arizona, Austin, Texas, Washington, D.C., Anchorage, Alaska, Marrero, Louisiana. You know what all those towns are? Those are the towns that kids on the University of Southern California football team play from. It is not a regional sport anymore. I'm really kind of tired of hearing that. Oh, it's not a region. It is not a regional. You may, as a fan, see it as a regional sport, right? And to some degree you do. I get it. You want to win the Palmetto Bowl, right? You want to be the best team in South Carolina. I get that. That rivalry is not going to die, though. That's never going to stop. That's never going to go away. SC and UCLA are still going to play each every year. And I'll bet you they're even going to pop in the occasional out-of-conference game against Stanford or Cal to see who the best team in California is. But when you look down the roster of these teams, and you see that half of the team out of USC is made up from Tampa, Florida, Washington, D.C., Fairfield, Connecticut, Marrero, Louisiana. Hell, there's a kid on that team out of Athens, Georgia. You know what's in Athens, Georgia? The University of Georgia. My man played his high school football in the shadow of the hedges and still went to SC. It is a national game now. It is not a regional sport. The rivalries are regional. The traditions may be regional, but it is not a regional sport. Texter says, Rob, there is no USC here. There's a U of SC. No further way, no faster way to get a Gamecock mad at you than refer to them as U of SC.
It's so lame. It's so very lame.
Hey, your board did it, Gamecocks fans, not me.
Just call it South Carolina and SoCal. I mean, you don't even have to use the initials.
I'm not going to lie. Before I moved here, I used to call South Carolina USC East. The Gamecocks fans in Florida did not appreciate that.
I mean, I can't go OSU because that could be Oklahoma State. I got to go the Ohio State University.
You don't have to.
Yes, I do. I'm required by law because it's my birthplace.
Respect. Let's take a break. Come back here in just a minute. Got a few more things to talk about. We'll get you updated on the most recent NBA free agency stuff and more. I am Rob. He is Lonzo. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to The Fan Upstate.
Prisma. But I don't know. But if the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame defines just about everything
Everything's rock and roll.
available, then I guess it's fine. But pop rock technically is rock, right?
Objectively speaking, I guess.
Well, when I think of Rick Springfield, I think of when my sister stabbed me in the head for saying Rick Springfield sucked with a pencil.
All right.
With a pencil.
All righty.
And she's an Uber fan. She's been all over the place.
I assume you don't punch somebody in the head for saying your artist sucks if you're not a fan.
Well, we were little kids too, but like, I don't know, 10, 12, something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Rick Springfield rock? Or is he just pop rock? And if he is pop rock, does that still make him rock? I mean, along those same lines, alternative rock is a form of rock, but it's still, and in that case, is yacht rock? Because it's got, it's yacht rock. I only thought of yacht rock because I was watching something last night and Michael McDonald was on it.
Fantastic yacht rock playlist. Frequently going to the rotation.
What makes it yacht rock? Is it music for one percenters? I don't understand what yacht rock. What makes it? Is it just music that you would listen to on a boat? What makes it yacht rock? I'm asking. These are legitimate questions that I don't know the answer to.
Let's see. Definition. I would say it's like a style of smooth, tuneful rock music popular especially in the U.S. in the late 70s and early 80s.
Tuneful. What's tuneful mean?
A broad music style and aesthetic commonly associated with soft rock, one of the most commercially successful genres from the 70s and mid-80s. Drawing on sources such as smooth soul, smooth jazz, R&B, and disco, common stylistic traits include high-quality production, clean vocals, and a focus on light, catchy melodies. Its name, coined in 2005 by the makers of the online video series Yacht Rock, was derived from its association with the popular Southern California leisure activity of sailing. AllMusic's Matt Collier identified the key defining rules of the genre as: keep it smooth even when it grooves and with more emphasis on melody than beat. Always keep emotions light even when the sentiment turns sad, and always keep it catchy no matter how modest or deeply buried in the track list the tunes happen. Conversations about yacht rock happening off the air during the break there.
That just sounds like a bunch of gibberish that someone made up.
No, dude, I got it.
No, I get what they're trying to say, but still, I don't know. Is it okay to be a yacht rock artist?
Yeah, why would it be? I would say if I was going to make music, I'd probably fall into the yacht rock
No way.
genre.
No,
100%.
you would be yacht rock.
100%. Or glam metal.
See, I could see the glam metal.
I bet there's some glam metal that you could even justify as yacht rock.
Wow. I mean, what a contrast. I would either be yacht rock or glam metal.
I mean,
multiple personalities in there. Could be. I don't know. It's just one of these things is not like the other.
Major League Baseball's All-Star finalists have been named at each position, and a couple of starters have been thrown in there. Phase 1 of the MLB All-Star fan voting wrapped up last week, and 2 finalists at each position in each league were announced during a live MLB broadcast. Phase 2 of the voting to select the starters at each position began yesterday and runs through Friday. As part of this year's voting process, the leading vote getter in each league in Phase 1 gets to skip Phase 2 and is given an All-Star Game starting spot automatically. Yankee slugger Aaron Judge obviously led all players with over 3,760,000 votes this year, and will start for the American League for the fourth time. He started in 17, 18, and 21. How about this dude? Missed a healthy number of games, yet Atlanta Braves prodigy Ronald Acuna Jr. got the starting nod out of the National League. 3,503,188 votes, his third straight All-Star Game starting assignment. Other names that are involved behind the plate for the National League: Wilson Contreras for the Cubs, and Travis d'Arnaud is getting the nod from the Bravos. Alejandro Kirk for the Blue Jays and Jose Trevino for the Yankees are in discussion as well. At first base, it'll be for the AL, Vlad Guerrero Jr., the correct answer, or Ty France from the Mariners, Vladdy Jr. from the Jays. In the NL, little bit more evenly matched, although I think Goldschmidt's probably the guy. Paul Goldschmidt from the Cardinals, Pete Alonso from the Mets. Goldschmidt has been fan-freaking-tastic. Fantastic as a hitter this year. Second base out of the NL, it'll be either Jose Altuve from the Astros or Santiago Espino from the Blue Jays. Ozzy Albies from the Bravos. Of course, Ozzy maybe not going to be available because he broke his foot walking. Tough way to go down on the 60-day IL. Josh Chisholm from the Mariners is mentioned there. Albies will be out for the All-Star game, so the runner-up will get the nod. So Chisholm will be starting either way. Bo Bichette of the Blue Jays and Tim Anderson from the White Sox, America's favorite baseball player, competing for the shortstop job in the AL. Trey Turner of the Dodgers, and another Bravo, Dansby Swanson on the list there. I think Dansby probably checks in as a reserve. Turner has been phenomenal this year. Third base, Jose Ramirez of the Guardians and Rafi Devers of the Red Sox. I'm going Rafi on that one. The only reason Rafi isn't the insta starter there is because of the fact that the Red Sox were, I think, maybe the most disappointing team in the first half of the season. White Sox can make an argument there, but for me, it was the Red Sox. Over in the NL, Manny Machado of the Padres and Nolan Arenado of the Cards are going at it in third. But as an honorable mention, Austin Riley was fewer than 45,000 votes behind Arenado for the second finalist spot in the National League. So Machado and Arenado get it, but Braves slugger Austin Riley was right there. Out in the outfield, from the AL, Mike Trout of the Angels, maybe the best baseball player on planet Earth. George Springer of the Blue Jays and Giancarlo Stanton of the Yankees are joined by Lourdes Gurriel of the Blue Jays as well. From the NL, Mookie freaking Betts. I love that dude. So much fun to play ball. Mookie Betts of the Dodgers, Jock Peterson of the Giants, Starling Marte from the Mets, and Adam Duvall of the Atlanta Braves from the NL as well. Judge and Acuna, obviously the leading vote getters in the respective leagues and automatically get the spot. So the final two outfield spots in the starters list are both right there. Juan Soto of the Nats winning 85,000 votes of being a finalist. And at the DH position from the AL, Yordan Alvarez of the Astros and Shohei Ohtani. Say hey, Shohei. At the DH spot for the NL, Bryce Harper of the Phillies, who is out long-term with a broken thumb. So the starter will be Wilson Contreras of the Atlanta Braves. So the Bravos, well represented amongst the All-Star list for the National League. Granted, they get a chunk of it at this point. Because they are defending World Series champs, but that is not to say this team, who has gotten significantly hotter as we approach the All-Star break, has not been very good as of late. And they have been. In fact, we talked about it a number of times. About 3 weeks ago, the Braves were 12.5 games back of the New York Mets. 12.5. To the point that people were writing them up. Hell, Cody Decker, my co-host on my Saturday nationally syndicated radio program, Bet for the Cycle, which can be heard on the BetQL Network and on fine Odyssey stations worldwide. Cody Decker, at one point, he was like, the Braves are going to be fine. They are going to be competing for a wild card spot, but they're going to be fine, right? They were 12.5 back. They are 2.5 games back. They have made up 10 plus. I think they were 13 back, 13.5 back at one point, but they have made up 10 or 11 games on the Mets. That's insane. 2.5 games back. They are now 48-34. Remember, for a while, they couldn't get above 500. Then they went on a 14-game win streak, and they found something. 48-34, now 2.5 games back of the New York Mets at this point, and in a pretty good position to catch the Mets, because the back half for the Braves is easier than the back half for the Mets.
So you're saying the Braves are consistent from year to year? Because it's basically the same thing that happened last year. And then they came back and they won the whole thing, which means they could possibly do this. This is what happens when your season is 100 and how many games? Well,
a lot.
Yeah, it's so you got a chance to come back. Plenty of chances, and they've done that. So good for them.
Yeah, it's insane.
Are they peaking too early? Or are they just finding their stride?
I'm gonna say no. I mean, you got to peak now because you've got to be able to catch the Mets, right? I mean, you're catching the Mets. You have not caught them yet. You need to be as good as you can be now. All right. I had one more note for you before I take a break, and I forgot what it was. I had one more thing I was going to give you. Oh, yeah, I do. Rafi Nadal had to take a medical timeout. I am not entirely sure what is going on with Rafi, but Tyler Fritz took the first set 6-3. We are now all square in the second set at 5 games apiece. Fritzy on the serve here at center court of the men's quarterfinals.
I bet I go potty.
I have to think. It's polite, no? Rafi had to take a medical break, took a timeout. He's now back out. I did not know this. Tyler Fritz, the only male at Wimbledon, Lonzo, who has not yet dropped a single set. Looking to keep that streak alive against Rafi.
That's pretty cool.
That's really good. My goodness. Hey, if Fritzy gets, I called it an upset in that Fritz is the 11 seed and Rafi's the 2, but Fritzy might be the hottest player at Wimbledon right now. If he finishes off Rafi Nadal and moves on to the semi, that's definite justification for more Wimbledon talk, right? We got an American in the mix for the first time in a minute. You love to see it. Let's take a break. We are back after this. Got a couple more thoughts to hit. Then we got Twitter trending topics, and we call it a day here on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
George Clooney's Batman nipple suit going up for auction. Starting bid is $40,000. You want that?
That's it?
Yeah, just 40.
That's going to sell for at least $1 million.
By the way, I've been looking up yacht rock songs. Apparently, I'm a fan of yacht rock.
You are a fan of yacht. I had no doubt you would be a fan.
Yeah, well, I didn't know. There's a list of like the top 50. Number 50 is Thunder Island. Love Thunder Island. Southern Cross, one of my favorite Crosby, Stills, and Nash song. And I've been sailing before, and it's an amazing feeling. Sailing by Christopher Cross. That only makes sense. Just the two of us. Would you consider that yacht rock?
Just the two of us.
Sarah Smile by Daryl Hall and John Oates.
Great song.
Excellent song. Rosanna, would you consider that yacht rock? These people do. Diamond Girl by Sills and Croft.
I just got a tweet from Giancarlo Esposito wishing me a National Fried Chicken Day. Giancarlo apparently owns Los Pollos Hermanos, which is a restaurant. Oh, okay. He plays a character in Breaking Bad who owns a chicken restaurant.
okay.
Named Los Pollos. I've never watched Breaking
Yeah,
Bad.
me either.
That's why I didn't get the reference.
We Just Disagree by Dave Mason. I love that song. It's the theme of Mark Ryan and I, which I've commented anytime it's come on in the office. So, Same Old Lang Syne by Dan Fogelberg. Is that really rock? I mean, that's not even. I thought it was supposed to be feel good, according to the definition you read.
Oh, yeah, not feel good. Light. It's got to feel light. It's got to feel bouncy. Got to feel breezy. Got to feel.
They're crying in Same Old Lang Syne. I mean, Eye in the Sky by Alan Parsons. How's that yacht rock? I Can Read Your Mind. It's kind of creepy, really. Somebody's Baby by Jackson Browne. I don't know. Still the One by Orleans. That makes sense.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on, wrapping up today. 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE. Text us 71307. Fritzy has not dropped a set, but he is on the verge of it now as Rafa Nadal has taken a 6-5 lead in the second set right now. Fritz got the first set 6-3. Nadal's got him down 1-6-5. But Fritzy on the serve right now to try to level that back up at 6. So it's going to come down to who can break who first. Fritz now up 30-15 in this particular game. We'll keep you up to date on that throughout the end of the show. It will obviously end after we get off the air, so we'll have an update tomorrow on what the Wimbledon semifinals are going to look like on both sides of the bracket. NBA free agency, we've been keeping an eye on that for you as developments have continued to spring up. The Phoenix Suns have re-signed veteran center Bismarck Biyombo. No terms of the deal have been announced yet. The Spurs claimed forward Isaiah Roby on waivers yesterday, according to Woj. Oklahoma City waived Roby on July 3rd after 3 seasons. The 24-year-old averaged over 10, 4.8 in 45 games last season. Woj also reported that as of right now, how about this one, Zoe? How do you feel about this? The Raptors still represent the least complicated option for the Brooklyn Nets to trade Kevin Durant. The Raptors have stayed in involved conversations with the Nets, but the Nets are not in a rush to ship off Durant as they still want to bring back a historic haul in order to make it happen. I don't know. Listen, I don't know what Kevin Durant has, what Toronto has to offer for Kevin Durant. I imagine it is Toronto effectively saying the next 8 years of our franchise's picks for Kevin Durant and Fred VanVleet.
Get the burner accounts ready. KD to Canada.
Oh, at least it's not Kyrie. Could you imagine Kyrie getting sent to Canada? You may play only away games.
Yeah, Kyrie would just retire. Would KD actually go to Canada?
KD doesn't have a choice. That's why I love this.
Well, he
so
does.
much.
He could retire. I mean, he could definitely retire. And probably still would be a Hall of Famer. He's made it to championship. I don't know, maybe. I don't know how the NBA Hall of Fame works compared to the NFL Hall of Fame, but I mean, with all his whatever, he's still one of the top players. If he goes to Canada, what does that do? I mean, will Toronto have anything left to play around him? And if you want to prove your legacy, go to Canada and win.
I mean, look, the Raptors were in the finals 2 years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago. They were.
Granted, they blew it up after that. But they were there. That being said, the guys that got him there ain't there anymore. I got somebody trying to fool me on Twitter. On the text line. Trying to either fool me on the text line or has gotten some info. I'm curious. He says, Rob, check Adam Schefter. Browns agree in principle to send Mayfield to Panthers. I don't see that anywhere. I am seeing that. Listen, I promise you that would pop up immediately on every sports thing anywhere. But I just checked Shefty's Twitter feed. That is not out there. His last tweet was 2 hours ago about Terry McLaurin. So, listen, Carolina is the only place left for Baker other than just staying in Cleveland.
I do see something when I looked up Baker Mayfield on Google, and there is an Adam Schefter thing that says 2 hours ago. I don't think it's real, but it could be. Filed to ESPN, the Cleveland Browns have agreed to trade Baker Mayfield to Carolina Panthers. The Browns will receive a 2023 fourth-round pick while sending back a conditional 2023 sixth-round pick. That's according to when I Googled it. I don't know that that's the real Adam Schefter.
I'm going to go no because I just checked the real Adam Schefter's Twitter page.
Is the real Adam Schefter, is his handle at the Cardiac Kid?
Yeah, no.
Because I'm just saying, if you Googled it, it shows up.
Sure it does. No, Baker Mayfield is not a Carolina Panther. At least not yet. Again, I still think he's the best possibility. I still think that's the way to go. By the way, Ian Rappaport came out yesterday and said that Baker is not interested in going to Carolina because it's a dumpster fire right now. He doesn't want to go somewhere, even if it is only on a one-year contract, to play for a coach who's effectively got 1 foot out the door already and end up in a spot where anything less than exceptional play is going to get that coach fired and reset him for the second time in 2 years. However, Rappaport also reported that the Seattle Seahawks are not and were not interested in Baker Mayfield, contrary to popular reports, that Baker was not on the radar for this team, and that he never was. So, who the hell knows? You know, who knows? I still think Bake's the right guy for the job in Charlotte. I don't think Baker's gotten enough credit for what he's done in Cleveland. He's going to cost you significantly less than Jimmy G. Hell, even if he comes in and has a great year for you this year, he still might cost less than Jimmy Garoppolo did. Just make the move. Just get it done. I can't do Sam Darnold again. I can't.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
You were hesitating.
No,
you were wanting me to.
Spot.
And let's face it.
I was gonna say we'll ask Rashad Beard about it again tomorrow at 9:20 when he joins the show. But you hit the right moment.
Well, the problem is you and I both are probably struggling from the smell of glue.
What is that?
That's good. We just got a email about them laying down carpet in a couple of the studios on the other side of the building. But the way the ventilation works is it all comes over here, just like if someone cooks something over there. So that's why the glue is really strong to the point where I'm struggling here. So, but luckily we only got a few more minutes left on the air.
I genuinely, that kicked in about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here like,
I'm not sure how safe it is.
yeah, I'm not saying it's contact high levels of bad yet. I'm saying the nose is burning a little.
My stomach is feeling queasy.
Shut
Yeah.
up before OSHA shows
All right. So The first thing that is trending in Twitter, trending topics, is Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, I saw trending earlier, but I did not see why. I think he's back on the list of billionaires.
All right, Jordan is trending because he is on the cover of
the new NBA
2K23,
Yep.
which makes sense because 23. Also, the other thing is has a rating of 100,
Of course he does.
and he's the only player on there with a rating of 100.
Ever, I would assume.
Yes.
It's kind of like Madden. You can catch a 99, and once you're in the 99 club, it's an elite caliber club. Jordan's going to get the 100. Let's be real. They were like, hey, Mike, can we put you on the cover? And Mike was like, yep, only if you make me better than everybody else. And they're like, well, like better than Steph? He's like, no, everybody.
It may have actually went that way. All right,
I have no doubt.
the next thing that's trending is Metallica.
So Metallica actually gave some props the other day. Apparently, in the season finale of Stranger Things, they used Master of Puppets, and Metallica said that they loved the way that they used Master of Puppets, that it fit in that show excellently, and that they loved it. Which, if you follow Metallica, you know that they rarely hand out props to people.
Well, if you've seen the trailer and haven't watched the season, like Rob,
Maybe.
you know that there's a main character on a roof of a building playing guitar.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about yet, but I'm super.
But
stoked
now
to see it.
you know what he's
Is that what
playing.
he's playing?
Yes, that's what he's
Dope.
playing. And to the point where I'm like, that didn't come out in '86, and we looked it up and it did. So I was like, that's out of place. That doesn't work for that time frame. But actually, it came out earlier than that, if I recall. So I think it was '84 or something like. I didn't realize Metallica had been around that long.
Master of Puppets, I'm pulling your string. Oh.
And the last thing that's trending is nuclear.
Twisting your mind and smashing your dream.
I'll just tell you really quick. Nuclear has been declared green in Europe.
Yeah, nuclear is green.
It's not here though.
Right. Because we're behind. And we shouldn't be. The world should be running on nuclear power at this point. It is exceptional because it's the cleanest we've got.
Agreed.
Except for windmills, which give you cancer and kill eagles. I heard. Once.
Poor Eagles.
Poor eagles. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for us. Jim Rome takes you into the jungle next. Mark Ryan and Diesel go off sides at 3, and we are back tomorrow to do it all over again.
Maybe.
Bro.
Dude. So strong.
That's Alonzo, bro. I'm Rob, dude.
Burns.
It's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
I want out of this room.
Yeah, I'm done.
Dude.
Dude, I may go home. I'm not even kidding. It's
Yeah,
burnt.
it is bad. Hopefully it
If it's like that in our office,
The
I'm out.
Vince-
Thanks, stream. We're gonna